Hello and welcome to Peace and Prosperity, KRON 4's special honoring Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. I'm Will Tran.
And I'm Stephanie Lin. Tonight, we celebrate the resilience and strength of the Bay Area's AAPI community. And we start with Bruce Lee and the trail he blazed for Asian Americans in Hollywood. Now, Lee had a strong connection to the Bay Area and was born in San Francisco. And right now in Chinatown, there's an exhibit all about the legend.
My favorite one is this poster over here.
Jeff Chin points us to his favorite item on display, an image that got him through a difficult childhood.
I was the only Chinese in my class. So as a result, I got picked on, I got called every racial slur.
The poster shows Bruce Lee in the 1972 film Return of the Dragon.
And I looked at the poster and then I was crying. And then it was almost like Bruce Lee was speaking to me, saying, "It's okay, Jeff, because I'm Chinese."
It's a feeling shared by the younger generation, too.
It affects me a lot because Bruce fought against racism.
This is Kyle Pei's first time at the exhibit.
I think before Bruce Lee, everybody thought we were weak and, we don't do anything but clean clothes. He broke a barrier with that.
Lee was just 32 years old when he died in 1973. But in that short life, he forever changed martial arts, creating his own free-flowing style that borrowed from many different disciplines.
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.
He broke barriers in Hollywood, and he remains a social justice icon.
When I hear the words Bruce Lee and his name comes to me, I think of a lot. I think about someone fighting for the rights of all people.
Justin Hoover oversees the exhibit.
In this display cabinet, you have two artifacts I think are pretty exceptional.
He shows us an original budget document from the 1960s TV show The Green Hornet, where Lee was cast in the sidekick role of Kato.
Bruce Lee was fighting amazing levels of systemic racism in Hollywood. And it's indicated in this by the amount of money he's being paid compared to everybody else on set.
As the only Chinese cast member, Lee made less than even the stuntmen. But as history and the exhibit shows, he persevered, building bridges of solidarity along the way.
Bruce Lee was the type of person that brought people together. Bruce didn't care about the color of your skin.
Lee challenged the traditional wisdom of the time, opening an Oakland martial arts school for people of all races and genders, bringing his unique brand of fitness and self-expression to everyone.
That's cool. Yeah, I thought I'd show you that. Very cool.
A message not lost on visitors like Glenn Peckman. We met him chaperoning a group of artists with disabilities.
A lot of the exhibits about inclusivity, and it really comes across. Things are polarized, things are pretty divisive now, and the more we can do things to bring people together, it's better for everybody.
The exhibit highlights different facets of Lee's persona: the thinker, the athlete, the visionary, and the trailblazer who helped pave the way for Asians in American cinema.
When I was growing up during the 1960s, I was very ashamed of my Chinese heritage. Due to all the negative stereotypes that you see in movies, TV, and even comic books. In the Academy Awards, there was a lot of Asian American representation. It's a slow process, but it's getting there.
If Bruce Lee were alive today, I think he'd still be winning Oscars himself. He'd still be empowering other people to step into roles that they may not feel comfortable in, a force for empowering others to create what they see in their visions.
According to the lunar calendar, this year is the year of the rabbit, a symbol of peace and prosperity. And a San Francisco State professor tells us it's a good year for cautious optimism.
Rabbits, fuzzy little creatures loved for their playfulness and just plain cuteness. But in Asian folklore, these fluff balls symbolize intelligence, compassion, and endurance.
And prosperity. There's a lot of prosperity with the rabbit.
Jonathan Lee is a professor of Asian American Studies at San Francisco State University. He says the year 2023 should be calm and relaxed, especially because we are coming off the year of the tiger.
Not only any tiger, but a young tiger. So very forceful, powerful, active. As a yin year, it's in many ways the kind of opposite of that tiger energy.
Yin and yang come from a Chinese philosophical concept that describes opposite but interconnected forces.
And so you have that element, and then you also have the kind of rotating factor that's really important, which is whether or not it's offending or or not offending Tai Shui, which is the god of the year.
According to a Chinese folklore, the god of the year is responsible for giving reports about you to the Jade Emperor, who then decides your fate for the following year. Lee says this year, the rabbit needs to be more cautious.
And so that would be a calmer energy, much more introspective, thoughtful, where you use your intelligence and not your impulse to make decisions. Last year, we saw a lot of impulse. If you look at real estate, it was a year dictated by home buyers, by FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. If I don't act now, I'm not going to get this historic low interest rate. This year is not that way.
For the vast majority of the AAPI community, the past year has been one of organizing and taking aggressive actions against Asian hate. But Lee says this year, the AAPI community is more calm and thinking long-term changes for society.
The last 2 years of the pandemic, I think we were all really on edge. This year, I think we're not that on edge anymore. And I think this year's the year where we're thinking like policy changes, and that will have a bigger impact on reducing anti-Asian violence and maybe preventing it in the future.
While everyone can benefit from the rabbit's characteristics this year, Lee says those who are born under rabbit years are more likely to flourish as long as they practice caution.
Still to come, he's reinventing Japanese cuisine in America. We catch up with renowned chef Masaharu Morimoto in wine country.
And cheers to kimchi sour, how a new East Bay brewery is making a splash in the craft beer industry with funky-looking glasses and Korean flavors. Good times and good company. That's the idea behind an Asian-inspired craft brewery, Doke Beer.
Yeah, the Oakland-based business takes pride in their hoppy experiments with ingredients from Korea and beyond. KRON 4's Dan Thorne takes us inside.
A social lubricant with thousands of years of history. Beer is a true love and a lot of fun for young Won Lee.
Sorry. I mean, I love it. I drink it every night, so. It takes a lot of work to keep my weight, as it is.
Lee is the CEO of the aptly named craft brewery Doke Beer. The labels and glasses featuring these playful creatures from Korean folklore.
The name comes from Korean mythical creature called dokebi that likes to eat, drink, and hang out with people. And usually what they do is they hide in objects during the daytime, they come out at night and hang out.
Doke Beer got its start at maybe the worst time to break into business, at the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic. A challenging time for everyone, but especially difficult for Asian-owned businesses who also contended with a rise in hate crimes.
That was pretty challenging, especially, I mean, you know, I grew up here, so I was more exposed to, you know, sort of racism. Whereas my wife, she immigrated to the States about 5 years ago. So it was very new to her to really face that as an adult.
Another obstacle has been competing in a predominantly white industry. A 2021 survey done by the Brewers Association shows Asian representation is near the bottom, with just 2% of craft breweries being Asian-owned. For Doke Beer, the idea of diversifying the craft beer world is intoxicating.
It doesn't have to be you know, white dude with beard, right? It could be some skinny Asian guy like me, but still make something that's different and unique.
Experimenting with flavors like kimchi sour, rice kolsch, and yuzu blonde. Lee is changing the game.
There's no such thing as like Asian-inspired craft beer. That's like, it's kind of hybrid of Asian culture with traditional craft beer. And we're kind of unique on its own. The most controversial one is our kimchi sour. So obviously a lot of people get scared of the concept or the name of it, and everyone's like, hey, what is that? Can I just don't give me a lot, just give me just a little bit to taste it. Cheers.
So that is what I did.
So a lot of people are actually scared to try it.
Not scary and not bad. The sound of progress. From driving hundreds of miles a day to deliver beers door to door to taking over Federation Brewing in Jack London Square. Lee's 3-year-old upstart is booming and the first, but hopefully not the last, Korean-owned brewery in Oakland.
we want to bring diversity to the craft beer industry. We want to bring innovation, young ones doing that with these really amazing beers that are taking, you know, classic styles and putting a fun new twist on them, which is, and they taste great. Like, that was the first thing I noticed about the company.
And Doke Beer is just getting started.
The existence of our brand is, you know, represents diversity. I think representing, you know, who we are and adding the diversity also inspires a lot of people to try something different.
In Oakland, Dan Thorne, KRON 4 News.
Lee is also part of a Bay Area nonprofit. Founded in 2014, the Korean American Community Foundation of San Francisco works to support the most pressing needs of the local Korean population. During AAPI Heritage Month, the foundation gathered in San Francisco for its 8th annual Hana Gala. The event is the largest philanthropic gathering of Korean Americans on the West Coast to help raise money for various service organizations.
The whole mindset about philanthropy and giving back was kind of lacking among the Korean Americans, and we started this foundation as a way to give back.
This year, the foundation honored actor and producer Daniel Day Kim with its Trailblazer Award. Kim, along with Oakland actor Daniel Wu, have been pivotal voices for the AAPI community during the rise of anti-Asian violence.
And when we come back, a small instrument from the Pacific is making a big splash. Coming up, the Bay Area Festival that's all about the ukulele and its aloha spirit. A small instrument from the Pacific Islands is having an outsized impact on American culture.
Yeah, the Bay Area recently hosted the Northern California Ukulele Festival at James Logan High School in Union City, and KRON 4's James Fletcher was there.
There's something about hearing the ukulele that transports you, relaxes you.
I just like the music. It's just soothing.
Yeah.
I just like the way it sounds.
What does it remind you of?
The island.
Before we get back to the festival, I should probably tell you that although the ukulele is synonymous with tropical vacations and the Pacific Islands, it didn't come from there. It's actually the descendant of a Portuguese instrument called the machete that settlers brought with them to Hawaii in the late 1800s, and the locals loved it. One of its biggest fans was Hawaii's last reigning king, King David Kalakaua. And it was around this time that the instrument was redesigned, retuned, and renamed the ukulele, which means jumping fleas in Hawaiian. And here's something I bet you didn't know. America's love affair with the ukulele actually started here in San Francisco, right where I'm standing at the Palace of Fine Arts. It's one of the last remaining elements of the 1915 World's Fair, held in the city actually to celebrate the completion of the Panama Canal. Exhibition palaces stretched across the marina, showcasing commerce and culture from all over the world. And right across from the lagoon stood the Hawaiian Pavilion, where inside a delegation from the islands performed music featuring the ukulele. Its appeal was immediate. Vaudeville performers loved it because it was cheap and easy to learn. They took it across the country, introducing it to America. And over the years, fans have certainly changed the way it sounds.
The Northern California Ukulele Festival is an annual event that brings together lovers of the ukulele throughout California. The first festival was in 1994. And, it's just an opportunity to bring together what, at the time in the early 90s, was a growing Hawaiian and Pacific Islander community.
And that idea of bringing people together to connect with each other is a big part of why this festival exists.
Oh, it's everything. Representation, culture, everything that we see on the news today, this included, right, is we want to share ourselves and share that we are all trying to live our best lives here together on this planet.
Which is part of the spirit of aloha. The spirit of aloha is to live it, not just to speak it, but it's to have it in your heart. and truly let it show and shine.
What does aloha mean to you guys?
It means love.
Maybe that's why this tiny instrument endures, because it inspires something bigger. For some, its music strikes a deeper chord.
It's just a good feeling inside of your soul.
Reporting in Union City, James Fletcher, KRON 4 News.
After the break, from music to art, where you can check out the bright colors and flavors of Vietnam and enjoy a unique wine tasting.
We all know about wine and cheese, but what about wine and spring rolls or pork bao buns? That's the kind of tasting you'll get at Artie Winery in Napa. KRON 4's Noel Bello takes us to the Vietnamese-owned business that's expanding the horizons of their eager guests.
A little wine,
poached shrimp and a kimchi cocktail sauce.
A tasty bite.
We have art by Vietnamese artists.
And a whole lot of color. That's what you'll find at the start of Napa Valley.
Welcome to Artie Winery.
Artie is the first Vietnamese-owned winery in Napa. And while their production is small, just 2,000 cases a year, they're hoping to make a big impact on the industry.
We're not specifically educating about being Vietnamese. It's more creating the space for people to come as they are. Whether you are Vietnamese, Asian, whatever color you are, however you identify, like this needs to be a safe place for you in this valley.
CEO My Lin Phan says while Artie has technically been producing wine since 2012, for many years they were only exporting back to Vietnam.
We still export to Vietnam, Rang Dam in Vietnam. They have a castle, it's the Artie Wine Castle, it's in Mui Ne. People can go and tour the castle and then they have wine there. It's mostly Napa varieties.
In 2020, they shifted their focus, finally opening the Big Blue tasting room off Highway 29.
This facility was originally Hakusan Sake and started in like the early 90s. They were the first sake place in Napa. So there's kind of a history of firsts here.
Cherry blossom trees, rumored to be a gift from a Japanese emperor, still decorate the parking lot in pink. Inside, the private tasting room is inspired by popular Ha Long Bay and outfitted with brightly colored paintings from Vietnamese artists.
I really love them because they're very colorful, and I think we in America don't necessarily know much about Vietnam. We think about it as like the Vietnam War. So these like really colorful pieces, I think they just show vibrancy and happiness and joy.
And they've bottled up those feelings in their wines as well, with fresh, bright varieties.
Our labels, so we have our 5th Moon label and our 100 Knot label. The 5th Moon label is named for the Vietnamese summer solstice, and 100 Knot is a Vietnamese fable. So we try in everything that we do to be conscious of the culture that we come from.
Artie Winery offers Napa's only Pan-Asian food and wine experience, pairing their 5th Moon wines with Asian flavors.
Rosé with spring pea soup. So we wanted wines that could pair well with pho or pad thai or anything else that has more spice that's not often talked about or thought about as pairing with wine. Like we want to show that it can be.
This summer, Artie will host its 3rd Summer Moon Festival, a nod to the Vietnamese celebration of the harvest moon, meant to bring luck to crops and prosperity to all.
From the beginning, I wanted it to be true to who we are, which is we are Vietnamese, and we're very proud of being the first Vietnamese-owned winery in Napa.
In Napa, Noel Bello.
It's spicy.
KRON 4 News.
Wine Country is also home to award-winning restaurants, including ones run by Japanese celebrity chef Masaharu Morimoto. KRON 4's Vicky Liviakis shows us how the chef will have you singing about sushi.
You really don't have to travel far in Napa to find world-class dining.
So if you're in wine country and you want Japanese food with a little twist, Morimoto's Napa is a really fun spot. Plus, you might just run into that famous chef.
Chef Masaharu Morimoto, you can't miss him. Here he is on the wall, on the cover of one of his cookbooks, and on premises from time to time to the delight of his diners.
I love him. We love the food. We love his restaurants.
Right up the street from the original Morimoto's, this is the latest venture, Morimoto Asia in Napa, where we find the chef himself making the rounds and making mouth-watering dishes like Peking duck tacos.
Duck tacos.
and salmon rolls. Chef Morimoto demonstrating his unorthodox methods alongside his trusty assistant, dancing, singing, cutting, clowning around, and creating amazing dishes.
So when I was little, I have two major dreams. I want to be a baseball player, professional, and then I want to be a sushi chef.
After a shoulder injury ended a career as a baseball catcher in Japan, Morimoto tried his hand at sushi and showed off his talents on TV's Iron Chef. Morimoto now has some 19 restaurants around the world.
Actually, this is United States, so people from Japan, so Japanese from Japan, oh, watching this sushi bar, oh, this is not a sushi. No, we have to make some Napa sushi, New York sushi, Paris sushi, London sushi, Buenos Aires sushi. We have to make a creation in locally, right? So
is that your success?
Yes, I don't know my success. I think I'm on the way to make the customer happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got a line of beverages and all sorts of merch like baseball caps, hoodies, T-shirts, you name it. Back at the original Morimoto's Napa, another nibble you might order up is a unique tuna sashimi pizza. And you won't want to miss the cocktail with his signature style.
We're making a Morimotini.
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 I wonder who that's named after. In Napa, Vicky Liviakis, KRON 4 News.
That does it for this year's celebration of the AAPI Heritage Month. Thank you for joining us.
And you can check out all of the stories we shared right now on our website, KRON4.com. Have a wonderful evening.